I played a lot of anime games this year, but just like every other year, I didn't get to play all of them. Sometimes they fly under the radar, whether because they're not based on some huge show like Dragon Ball or Bleach, or because they've been delayed so many times that we just lost track of when they release. Whatever the reason, I decided to fix that before the end of the year, and so, for the last couple of weeks, I've been playing these anime games that I missed in 2025. And if I missed them, maybe you did as well. You may remember me playing Solo Leveling Arise on the channel. That was a free-to-play gacha for PC and mobile from last year. This is not that. Well, kinda. They remade that game for PC and consoles, removing the gacha and charging $40. Now, I wasn't a fan of the gacha game, so when this came out, I wasn't interested. But then I realized this is the perfect chance I have to check out what happens to a gacha game when they strip it of its gacha mechanics. Is it just a better game, or does the whole thing fall apart? And as it started, immediately the game's looking very different. The tutorial level is teasing some powers that we might get by the end of this game before taking it all away and retelling the story from the start. Chapter 1 was pretty much as I remembered it, but it did remind me that there was a lot of stuff I actually liked about the gacha game. I liked how flashy the game was, I loved the cutscenes and how it told a story. This is the game that made me read the full Solo Leveling manhwa. I mean, just look at this transition. Cutscene, bam, manhwa. How sick is that? I made it to the first boss fight. The boss fight is still really good. Actually, it's a lot more challenging this time. It's forcing me to parry a lot more than it used to, probably because I picked the hard difficulty. But hard difficulty wasn't even an option back on the gacha, I don't think. Because that's one of the things that gacha games do. They manipulate the difficulty, so you have to grind exactly as much as they want you to in order to beat any type of content. And after beating that boss, we go back to the Hunter Association where a lot of the gacha stuff happened back in the day. Now, when they say they took out the gacha from the game, they meant the paid character pools, which to me was the least of that game's problem. The way you get characters now is you walk up to the lady that used to give you gacha pools and she gives you 3 random resumes, so it's still random. Now you have to offer some in-game money to these characters, almost like proposing a salary, and they have a chance to accept or reject your deal based on how strong they are. But with enough money, you'll get all the characters you want eventually, so it's really not a bad system. My problem with the gacha, however, mostly has to do with progression. The way XP curves work, the amount of grinding you have to do, often with a stamina system right beside it to keep you coming back every day. The way they require 100 different materials to level up 50 different pieces of equipment on 10 different characters, and all of that stuff is sadly still in the game. Except the stamina, actually. There's no stamina system. I mean, thank goodness. I do have to highlight how fun the boss fights are in this, especially in hard mode. It didn't take long for me to run into an actual challenge. This boss fight is in the 3rd chapter of the game. It's that early. I'm gonna die just to the fucking fire dot. There's something. Alright. Ooh, fire.
An opening! Tearing through. You're no match for me. Die.
Hello? Wait, I don't have ult. I have ult. No, that's a block. The last one is a block. Now, I was being a bit stubborn, trying to tackle this boss without really engaging with the RPG mechanics, so a few level ups later, I did beat it first try, but that death montage was really good at hammering the game mechanics into my hands. Bro, Parry King. And if this was all the game was, I'd be singing a very different tune. However, the more I played of this, the more I was getting bummed out. Because much like the gacha game, it just kept stopping me from doing the content that I liked. The gacha game made me grind a ton of filler content, and I didn't expect this game to do the same, but in chapter 4, it literally wouldn't let me progress until I did some gates, which are the same dungeons, fighting against the same enemies that you already fought against in story mode. In gacha games, they usually make you do these, so you run out of stamina and are forced to either pay or return the next day. Here, I don't care what the point is exactly. To make the game worse? And the worst part is, Chapter 4 was just as bad in this game as it was in the gacha. And the gacha used to be Chapter 6. It was the chapter that broke me. It's the dungeon that you clear with Kang Tae-shik, where he tries to kill everyone. And for some reason, it just has so much padding. You spend, and I'm not joking or exaggerating here, over an hour killing random goblins like these. And let me tell you, this combat does not carry the game. Not when going up against these minions. In boss fights, it's pretty hype, and the fight against Kang was actually insane. Hello.
Instant.
Oh shit.
It's over.
Oh! 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 What the fuck? I think I died to bleed. But outside of these boss fights, it's so repetitive, I genuinely question whether anyone play tested this and said, yeah, it's already fun like this, but we should put another goblin in. Without the gacha mechanics, the game did get better, but once all the psychological manipulation these games do is gone, you can see how truly mid they are. So yeah, I did like this game better than the gacha version. If you have to play solo leveling, I'd probably recommend this version over the free-to-play. It is 40 bucks, but it won't waste your time nearly as much. That said, since you're spending the money anyway, I'd say there are a lot of places where you could spend those 40 bucks better than right here. Maybe in the next game? From what I know, Space Adventure Cobra is a classic anime, but not only have I never watched it, I never even heard of it until this game was announced. So yeah, this one flew under my radar. But then I got some Mega Man vibes from the trailer and the soundtrack sounded like a banger, so I decided to give it a shot. And I'm so glad I did. So, it's a side-scroller where you run and gun down enemies. There's always a ton of them on screen, so it's a bit of a bullet hell too. Reminds me a little of Contra, a little of Mega Man at the same time. You have an invisible dodge that you can also use as an air dash, as well as some other abilities that help you in both combat as well as platforming. The first mission actually teases all of these abilities as you play with Cobra before he went through a change in looks and lost his memory and all of that stuff. So the abilities you unlock over time are a charge shot, a revolver that can take down red shields, melee attacks that can take down blue shields, gravity boots that climb specific surfaces, and a grappling hook that you can use in predetermined spots. But the most unique ability he has is probably the guided shot, which is an ability that freezes time, allowing you to manually guide a shot that takes down one or multiple enemies. I'm almost dead. Almost dead. Oh shit. The fire one is hard to avoid. Oh, good. Get it. Oh, yes. Woo, close call. You also have a screen clearing ultimate if you need it. You just press the button and it does its thing. But after that first level, you lose it all and slowly regain it back as you play through the story. Now, as I mentioned, I've never watched Space Cobra before, but this story has been funny as hell. It's cheesy, but incredibly self-aware, and since I knew nothing about it, that did make me enjoy the game even more, because it felt like I was learning about Space Cobra, as well as playing through the levels. Now, they used the original anime to retell the story, something I wish more games did nowadays, honestly. I can tell it's very abridged, but it's also upscaled and adapted for widescreen, so this isn't just the anime, they did some work here to make it look this good. And there are some dialogue scenes mid-level, the whole thing is voice acted, which made me enjoy it even more. The gameplay is fun too, don't get me wrong, but it is kinda simple. It's kind of a budget game, but it's also snappy and very responsive. The shooting feels good, and it is pretty challenging even on normal difficulty. What? I shot him! I have avoided the Metroid Dread comparisons so far on purpose, because even though that running animation with a gun arm is very evocative of the character, and the walls you can climb with the gravity boots also kind of look like Metroid Dread, structurally this isn't really a Metroidvania. You're not pulling up a map and unlocking things as you get new abilities. This is a level-based game. But you do get your abilities as you play through the story, and you're gonna need to go back to some old levels in order to get some collectibles. So they definitely want you to go back and replay them in order to collect everything the game has to offer. But it is completely optional. This is just for completionists, which in my opinion does not make it a Metroidvania. If you want, when you replay those levels, you can even turn on an arrow that points to the collectibles you've missed. Only when replaying the level, and completely optional. And another reason they give you to replay the levels is that each level also has a timer attached to it, and they'll give you a little crown if you beat it under that time. So it's even scratched my speedrunning brain. On top of that, there are some special missions where you get to play with other characters. I only did the level where you play as Lady. She doesn't have a lot of abilities that Cobra does, so instead of feeling like a unique character, she just feels like a nerfed Cobra. But the mission itself was pretty cool. I had to rescue a bunch of women, so it was different from the usual story missions. I don't want you to get the wrong idea here though. I'm enjoying the game a lot, but also probably because I had very low expectations. It's a very simple game, and you can see the lack of polish in some spots. Like, you tell me if dying here was my fault. I'll try not to die so we don't have to shoot everybody. Are you kidding me? He just slid off. He just slid off. He just... I can't. Okay, the second time was definitely me. But this was an awesome surprise. For 25 bucks, I think it's definitely worth it. For some reason, it costs 40 bucks on PlayStation. I don't know what's up with that Sony tax. So I'd recommend getting it on Steam if you can. And the soundtrack, gosh, it's so good. Even if you don't play the game, you have to give it a listen. Okay, maybe you guys didn't miss Inazuma 11 coming out, as you kept asking me to cover it over and over, and fair enough. I did cover the fact that the game was delayed about 50 times, and I covered the demo they released, so your expectations were justified. But also, after those 50 delays, they landed on a really bad release date for me right before my biggest tournament of the year, so I'm finally making good on this, I'm finally playing it, and hey, if you missed this release because you had no idea what the real release date was after all these years, no one's gonna blame you, honestly. The first thing you might notice is the $70 price tag, even on Steam. This is not the PlayStation or the Nintendo tax, it's the most expensive game that we have in today's video. But as I started seeing everything it had to offer, I actually came to fully understand this price. I think they justify it very well. And before the full game, I obviously played the demo for quite a few hours, meaning I know how to play the base game, and I have actually already played through the beginning of this story mode. And with the time I had to try this game out, I wasn't really able to make it beyond what the demo had already shown me. Still, replaying the start of the story mode was a nice reminder of how much work they put into making new original anime scenes. There are so many of them, it is crazy. It was also a good reminder of how good the humor is as well. If you take the time to read what the characters are saying during these turn-based battles, it is just hilarious to me. The whole thing, the whole presentation, the situation, it's very, very, very funny. But there are quite a few other modes that I need to check out, so I can't stay in the story mode for too long. In today's video, none of these opinions are full game reviews, by the way. I played each of these games for a day, so anywhere between 3 to 6 hours depending on the game. So it's more of a first impressions piece. Apologies if some of this stuff is slightly inaccurate or it changes later in the game. But the next game mode I needed to check out was Chronicle mode. Now, I've heard several players say stuff like, I finally finished Inazuma 11, I played 200 plus hours. And as soon as I started Chronicle mode, I understood why. This game mode takes you through all the previous Inazuma 11 games, or every match at least. You're at the end of the world and you time travel with a robot bear buddy in order to stop the apocalypse. And to do so, you're gonna go through the entire story of Inazuma 11 and assemble a dream team of JoJo stans. Now in this mode, you gotta play against every opponent at least twice. The first time, it's a canon match, how it happened in the season, and the matches come with these side objectives. As soon as you complete the side objectives, it triggers a cutscene or a scripted event, so you really get the gist of the story if you've never watched it or played it. Now, after you defeat a team like that, you gotta play against that team again, but this time it's a normal match with the team you've been building as you time travel, which includes the character you create at the start of the game. Oh yeah, this game has a really solid character creation. It's not very complex, but you can make some wild looking dudes. After you play those two games, there are 2 more matches you can do that will just give you better drops as far as I know. Better drops means better players to assemble your team with, and this team can be used in online matches and other modes as well. It's not restricted to this one. So you can think of this as progression for your whole game and not just this game mode. And then on top of that, this game also has online with crossplay, lobbies, ranked matches, the whole spiel. I played a few matches in this BB mode, which has pre-made teams against one of my subs. The other mode takes player level stats into account, and as you might imagine, my team is still pretty low level, so if we wanted to have a fair match, it had to be with pre-made teams. And the online held up pretty well, the connection was flawless. I do remember having some bad experiences in the demo, so I'm sure laggy matches still exist, but with the little time I had, I didn't find any. After playing the demo, when I saw the $70 price point, I thought it was way too much, but after playing the full game and seeing just how much content there is, I actually think it might be worth the money. That said, for some reason, instead of looking at all of that content with excitement, I looked at it with dread. I've thought a lot about why that was, and I think it comes down to this. I don't enjoy the base game that much. I like the concept of a football RPG, and I did have a lot of fun discovering this game when I played the demo. It was something I've never experienced before. I loved the novelty of it, but the more I play, the more I dislike the constant pausing and the focused battles it constantly forces you to. There are a few things here that my brain as a football fan and as someone who grew up with a lot of FIFA also cannot fully accept yet. Like, I don't think if a player is coming from behind, they should be able to force a focused battle. I think they need to at least catch me to do so. And I don't like that fouls are pure RNG, like, what do you mean this is my foul? Ref, He was the one sliding at me. I'm not saying the game should accommodate to my likes, and I'm not saying the game should change. It's clearly very successful. I'm just trying to explain why it's not connecting with me at a deeper level. And it's not that I don't like the game as a whole. I can definitely enjoy it, especially against another player.
Yes. Yes.
No, he has a
yes. Yes.
Thrown apart. No.
She gained glasses. Boom. Zone, bitch.
Yeah, catch him. Please catch him. No.
Never. Eat my balls. You're not getting this, bro. You're not getting this, bro. I don't care how big you grow. This shot is not getting stopped, baby. Get in there.
But is this something that I want to do for 200 plus hours in Chronicle mode? Is this something I want to grind online since most players seem to prefer the mode where stats come into play? Honestly, I don't think so. And I think I owe a lot of you an apology because I know many of you have been looking forward to hearing me talk about this game, and I'm sure this take was not what you guys were expecting. But I would rather just be real with you and get some hate in return than to just pander and be positive all the time, when that's not how I'm feeling. And I will probably play this game again, I just don't think I'll ever go as hard as some of you most likely wanted me to. If you think this looks like Fairy Tail in space, you're right. Eden Zero is a manga from the same author as Fairy Tail, but even though these characters look and sound the same as Fairy Tail characters, they are completely different people. That's not Erza, that's Elsie. That's not Lucy, that is Rebecca. And that's not Happy, that is actually Happy in this universe too. But he's a robot and he turns into guns. This game was announced 5 years ago, so we knew this was coming for a while. Konami didn't delay the game or anything like Inazuma 11 did. They just never announced the release date until very recently. But honestly, it still feels like a game that was rushed out the door. It's a 3D action game, level-based when playing through the game's story, but also has an open world where you can explore and do side missions. Now, I have never watched Eden Zero, so this was my first experience with the show, and let me tell you, this is not very welcoming for newcomers. It starts confusing as hell, as it pretty much just shows you the entire story through very quick cutscenes and snippets of boss fights. It felt like the game was in a hurry to spoil the whole story for me, and then they give me control over the main character and I fight a bunch of octopus people in a spaceship as well as Octopus Erza before it cuts away to more confusion.
Hey, I'm not taking any damage. That is a projectile. The fuck happened? I just defeated her. Now she's on the screen and the mask is gone. I'm so confused. I think we're watching some sort of time travel story because not Lucy's tattoos start shining and we go back to the start. But even now, I can't tell you for sure. She doesn't seem to remember anything, at least. I don't want to harp too badly on the story. It could just be a case of the game not telling it as good as the show needed it to. I could actually tell the first chapter had some powerful stuff in there where this village, where the protagonist lives and grew up, is full of nothing but robots. But one day, the robots just turn on him and drive him away from the village. It's like being betrayed by your best friends and everyone that you grew up with, except later you find out all the robots were breaking down and they wanted to free the main character to explore space and not being stuck on this village fixing robots forever. It's some sad Nier Automata stuff, but it's told in a way that's a bit rushed in the game, so it doesn't land as strongly as it could. Now, I will harp on the gameplay though, because this AI is so bad that it makes every combat encounter feel omega boring. It's a very simple game, you don't have a ton of abilities at the start, so it's not even that fun to use these guys as training dummies because there isn't a ton to exploring your own moveset. And the enemies also don't encourage you to explore that moveset in interesting ways, so it ends up being more of a stats game, at least at the start. If you decide to go up against an opponent that's 10 levels stronger than you might get one shot for making a single mistake, so it is challenging, but that opponent's moveset is still fairly straightforward. And hey, maybe this gets better over time. There are multiple playable characters and they do have different gimmicks. They feel very unique to play, and you unlock more moves for each one of them through a talent tree, so yeah, it could be 100% more fun in the late game. But even if that's the case, I feel like that's a mistake these games often make. They don't start fun and then expand on it. They start hella boring and only get fun once you unlock the good stuff hours later. I can't say the level design has been particularly engaging either. It's super straightforward and boring so far. And there is also this big open world where you can do some side activities. And to give them credit where it's due,
The open world seems super well built. At the same time, it also feels very empty. Moving around is fun though. It feels really nice to fly from place to place, but only in the open world. When they take you to a story mission, they make you run everywhere again. They straight up take the fun exploration away from you. But the main reason why I think this game was rushed is the optimization. Once you get out in the open world, it feels like the whole game runs at a lower frame rate, and even in story missions, the smaller, more linear levels, it can't handle certain attacks you unlock mid-game if they hit too many enemies. But the cherry on top of the cake was just the trophies.
What? What? Okay. Wait, is the trophy list all in Japanese? It is? Brother, why? No. I didn't buy the Japanese version of this. Come on.
The game's not bad by any means, but to me it's the definition of mid. It would be fine for about $10, but this costs $60. And for that price, I gotta say, hell no. Our next game though is actually less than $10, so let's check it out. Shoutouts to Anyplug Media for this one. I would have never found it if he didn't put together a list of the stuff I missed. So thanks, you guys should check out his channel. He definitely knows anime games. This is a roguelike deck builder where instead of cards, you get manga panels, and you have to beat each encounter within a certain number of pages. Actions take different amounts of spaces, but they include attacking, moving, reloading your gun. For instance, let's take this simple turn here. We're gonna hit our opponent with 2 punches. They take different spaces because they deal different damage, reloading 1 bullet in between. That's going to take the first guy down and give us 3 bullets total, and then we're going to flip direction and use my 3 bullets to shoot this guy from afar. Once you're done, you watch it play out, and if your calculations are correct, you win the encounter. If you get attacked, the enemy puts holes in random spaces on your page, so you gotta adjust as you go, or you can spend duct tape to fix those holes. But duct tape is very rare, so you can't just rely on it all the time. You get some new panels as you go, can also upgrade in between battles if you land in specific spots, and you have a boss fight at the end of each map. Bosses can have unique conditions, like mines that you can't end your turn on, or you will take some damage. And there are also some minigames that, I'm not gonna lie, feel hella random. Take a photo when the octopus comes to the center of what? To the center of what? Hello? Execute Gooby, Chu, Kon in the specified order. You have 10 seconds to memorize the sequence. Okay. Chu, Gooby, Kon. Gooby, Kon, Gooby, Kon. Chu, Gooby, Kon, Gooby, Kon, Gooby, Kon, Chu, Gooby, Gooby. Chu, Gooby, Kon, Gooby, Kon. Gooby, Kon. Chu, Gooby, Gooby. Chu, Gooby, Kon, Gooby, Kon, Gooby, Kon. Chu, Gooby, Gooby. Chew, Gooby, Kong, Gooby, Kong, Gooby, Kong, Chew, Gooby, Gooby. Let's fucking go, baby! Depending on how well you do, it upgrades 1 to 4 panels in your deck, so they do serve a purpose in game. Not gonna lie, my first run ended kinda quickly. I made a mistake at the first boss and ended the turn by accident, and things just snowballed from there. I had very little spaces to work with, and was out of duct tape to fix all the holes, so that was it. My second run, however, was godlike. I stalled so hard on that first boss that I just had to hit the replay button at the end of the level, where you can watch all of your actions play in real time. It's cinema! Cinema! It's a pretty cool feature, I'm not gonna lie. After the first boss, you unlock a pretty cool feature called the bonus, which is a passive that activates if you fill up your page completely. And that changes the way you think about the game a lot, because the bonus is usually worth it. After the second boss, unfortunately you don't get another game-changing feature, you get a smaller final map that ends in a boss that has a ton of health. And if you beat all 3 bosses, you've beaten the game on normal. This run was so good that I basically unlocked everything that was locked with this single run. You could say I just beat the game, but what it unlocked was more game. 2 new characters that play completely different, and a new difficulty that makes things a lot tougher by giving you stronger enemies and less pages to work with. As for the characters, we got Yoko, who specializes in mobility. She doesn't have a gun, so no bullet management required, but she's also a drunk, and every drink panel she has, she gains a counterattack buff. so she'll deal damage whenever she gets attacked. It's a very reckless and dangerous playstyle because yes, you will deal a ton of damage, but you will also lose a lot of panel space by getting attacked. So yeah, drunk playstyle feels like a very appropriate name. Suzuki, on the other hand, is a professional hitman with a lot of gimmicks. He can place bombs, he can use taunts and fear tactics to reposition enemies. He can also apply a bleed debuff, which will make enemies take damage every turn until the end of the encounter. And a lot of his shots hit the opponent both in front and behind him in very specific spots. It was definitely the most big-brain character of the three. Now, the goal of the game is to clearly beat all the normal and pro modes with all three characters, but on top of that, they also have a puzzle mode, where instead of it being so random, these are crafted panels with specific abilities, and you have to clear this encounter in a single page. So it really feels like a puzzle, as the name would indicate. And they also have a drinking mode where, yeah, I don't know what this is, but it's there and you can go for high scores, I guess? That said, out of the 5 games we covered today, this was the biggest surprise for me. I didn't expect to love this game as much as I do. I love the soundtrack too, it's got some very good jams. And for less than $10, this is 100% worth it. But those are 5 games that I missed in 2025, and maybe you did as well. And I gotta give an honorable mention to Beyblade X Evil Battle. I also tried that out, but because of the holidays, I couldn't get it in the edit in time for this video, so we'll just call that game a Twitch exclusive. The folks watching at twitch.tv/Globku got to see me play, and the VOD is probably still up if you're really curious. But for y'all here on YouTube, I will see you guys for one final video this year before we say goodbye to 2025. Thanks for watching. Bye.